Hello everybody and welcome back to QuipScope. This is a show where we have a quick look at a game that has recently come out, or a DLC, or some kind of expansion, just new video game stuff. And we tell you our first impressions. My name is Ben.
And my name is Peter.
Peter, you've been playing the brand new, released this week, expansion to the wonderful 2 Point Hospital called Culture Shock.
Indeed I have. And not only have I been playing that, but I've been playing 2 Point Hospital for the first time, which was a treat. I've been really wanting to get round to it, and I just feel like there's just so many games all the time, but this seemed like a brilliant reason to finally give it a go. So we were very kindly sent a code for the DLC and for the main game by Sega, I believe. And also, very kindly, me being a 2 Point Hospital noob, they also provided a save file so that I was able to jump ahead to the Culture Shock DLC straight away. Fortunately, I do have a bit of a grounding in Theme Hospital, and this game does indeed play very similarly to that, it being a spiritual successor. So I sort of knew what I was doing, but only sort of. So what you'll be looking at now is some footage from the first of the 3 levels available in the Culture Shock DLC. Plywood Studios. Very good. And so it's the opening, it's sort of early game stuff, me building diagnostic rooms and things like that, but we get a look at some of the new features, so it's very exciting. But the whole point of the Culture Shock DLC is that it's set in a new part of town, with everything centered around some aspect of culture, of course. So you've got Plywood Studios, which is a film and TV studio space. There's the Mudbury Festival, which is a music festival and has like carnival rides and stages and burgers that with questionable meat inside and things like that. And then there's the Fitzpocket Academy, which I think is a sort of high society. It's where all the red carpet people hang out with each other and stuff like that. So three quite different things there. But more to the point, of course, there are all kinds of new illnesses, new items, and so on and so forth. So it's very exciting and interesting. So the Plywood Studios stuff has a story attached to it where I guess it's a little bit like Casualty or Holby City, which for those who aren't in the UK are sort of TV soaps or dramas set in a hospital. And so you're running a real hospital there, but you've got this film star, Roderick Cushion, who has come to your hospital to essentially kind of learn how to be a real doctor. It's very unethical because he is actually diagnosing real patients.
That doesn't sound...
Yeah, in your hospital. And so you start with just a single building, as you quite often do in Theme Hospital and 2 Point Hospital, a little building on the plot. But all around, there are obviously spaces that you can expand into. And there's like little stages around the Plywood Studio, which is super fun. There's like an old western, building saloon thing. There's like a big shark in a swimming pool, which I guess is supposed to be Jaws.
Right.
So they essentially knock down these stages and just build extra hospital rooms on the footprint, which is seems a bit wasteful, but so you've got room to expand as always. But of course, the reason you're expanding, you gotta build a flipping hospital, Ben.
Yeah, you do. You genuinely, that's the whole point.
That's the whole point. And you've got to treat all these brand new illnesses that are rife in this cultural district of the city.
Of course. They, cultured people, they have different diseases from you and I.
They do, yeah.
Us scrubs.
That's right. We get cholera and TB and dropsy. But they get, for example, concertos or concert toes, which is an issue that arises from grand pianos going over your toes.
Oh God, that sounds like a very specific ailment.
Happens all the time. So I certainly had a few patients with concertos in my hospital. Also, I saw a few people with snot twist, which is a pun on plot twist, which I didn't get at first, but maybe that's more a reflection on me than the writers.
Well, you and I both know that if we were in charge of that, it would be plop twist.
Absolutely,
it would be some sort of bowel issue.
Yeah, but snot twist, I believe, is when your mucus gets all sort of sprained and contorted within your body, and it needs sort of loosening and untangling, which just sounds horrible. So those are some of the sort of in 2.0 Hospital, as you may well remember because you've played this game. There are visible and non-visible illnesses. So there's some sort of normal, quote unquote, normal looking people walking around who have things that they probably just need to have a few tablets and go home. So those are some of the non-visible illnesses. But of course, there's some exciting new, very visible ones too. One that I had in my hospital was stunt trouble, where there are people walking around dressed as Evel Knievel, and the issue that they have is that their understanding of what is risky or dangerous or exciting is completely thrown off, and they think that everything that they do is like super rad and needs like fireworks going off and stuff.
That sounds like it might be a real thing.
Yeah, well, it probably is, but I don't think I've got any footage of it because I didn't record my full session, but I did get, after being in crippling debt for a while, I did get to the point where I unlocked the danger zone room, which is how you treat stunt trouble. And it's this sort of motorized, it's like a motorbike but just on a rail that goes through these rings, so it's like they're doing a real stunt. And there's all these cardboard cutout fans watching them and clapping, so it's like a very controlled environment for them to do a real actual stunt.
Right, and get it out of their system.
Yeah, and they're able then to leave and think, that was like high risk, and everything else, sliding down the banister at home is probably okay, and things like that. I also had people with square eyes, I guess from watching TV too much. But those were the main ones I saw in my early my first hour or so. But I've seen some others on the promotional material for this game. There's private parts where people look like those green plastic soldiers, and they have to be like melted down with a big magnifying glass.
Oh God!
Writer's block where people have a pencil in their head. I think there was, what was it? Soiled self, I think, which is they were just kind of covered in mud, which I'm assuming is a Mudbury Festival disease. So it's all very exciting. It's all very funny. It's that classic. It's very British pun-based humour. In some ways, you probably enjoy this even more if you're already a proud owner of 2 Hospital, because you'll have a better understanding of what's new and what isn't. For me, it was all new and exciting. So in that sense, it's a great place for people to come into this game if they've never tried it before. So absolutely, I'd recommend it to new players. But yeah, I think people who've played the game already will be able to appreciate the new items, for example. So there's like a bin shaped like a shark. Oh, wow.
Oh my goodness.
Rad. There's some new posters for the wall. There's neon signs. There's a really fancy new bench looking very plush. And like little statuettes and things that you can place around your hospital and make them look nice to please all those highbrow, high society cultured types. But yeah, just the little bit that I've played so far was super fun. I'm really hoping that Dr. Roderick Cushion gets trained up properly and that his show, it's called Backwards.
Right.
I hope that his show can be a big success based on his training he's had at my hospital.
Well, fingers crossed. It sounds like an all-round, just a great improvement to an already wonderful game. Just lots of additional content and things to play with. And it's nice to have a sort of narrative mode in there too with what's his name? Roderick Cushion.
Yeah,
Derek.
I thought that because sometimes with DLC in games like this, these sort of management games or creative building games, all they'll really do is like throw some new items at you and then say, hey, you can now place like a shark bin in your hospital or whatever. But that immediately from the off is like, oh, okay, this is something a bit different. This isn't just here's a new hospital footprint with some new items. It's certainly in this level, there's a proper kind of story to be played out there, or an overarching objective beyond just making a good hospital. So yeah, that was interesting.
Excellent.
And it's a pretty game. It just plays nicely, doesn't it? It's very aesthetically pleasing, and you don't just you can rotate things on more than 90 degrees. You can really make it look the way you want, and there's all kinds of still all the usual management to do, making your hospital aesthetically pleasing, warm enough, cool enough. So yeah, it's everything you want, but just an expansion. It's exactly what an expansion should be.
Fantastic. Well, there we are. The Culture Shock DLC expansion is available right now for 2 Point Hospital. We actually, courtesy of Sega, have 2 copies to give away, not just of the DLC but also of the base game. If you would like to be in with a chance of winning that, we give the full details in this week's podcast, which is releasing tomorrow. That's Saturday, and we tell you all about it towards the end of the podcast. So if you'd like to grab yourself a copy, then feel free to listen to the podcast and enter the competition. It's dead simple. It's just retweeting something. So go there for more info.
Yeah, absolutely. Which leaves just enough time to say, 2 Point Hospital Culture Shock DLC. More like 2 Point Hospital Culture's Hot DLC, because it's like, it's hot off the presses. Man.
Yeah. Culture Shock, more like culture. Oh God.
It's not an easy one, is it? It's tricky.
Culture mock, because it's like making a mockery of bad DLC.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
That's a good one. That's a good quip.
Culture Shock, more like Vulture Shock.
Oh, that's cool.
Because it rhymes with culture. See.
Yeah, no, I like that. That's two pretty cool Spider-Man villains there. As well.
Oh yeah, Culture Shocker. Yeah,
kinda. Anyway, I don't think we're going to get any better than that, because this one's a hard one to rhyme.
It is, and we're up against a game that is based entirely around puns / quips.
Yeah, they've done it.
So
they've done it already.
You can't QuipScope the quip game, really. I don't think.
You can't. No. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you very much. And thank you, Sega, again, for the DLC and the code.
Absolutely. Okay, we'll see you next time, everybody. Look after yourselves. Bye.
Bye-bye.